Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, most importantly, local. So local that this Thursday we'll be crashing their holiday party. I'm excited about this. We'll be doing the podcast from Fayetteville, from the home base at Copiers Plus.
Copiers-plus.com.
Big night tonight, Joe. We got a lot. Again, another day where we got a lot to get into. We're going to check in with David Hale, ACC Network, ESPN, about the college football playoff and what's really bugging ACC football. Walker Mehl, WFNZ out in Charlotte. If it's an up and down kind of season for the Carolina Panthers, I would imagine that the sports talk radio callers at WFNZ are also going through it. I'm going to try to achieve Zen balance with Walker about Bryce Young.
Okay.
Because I think this too high, too low. Is he the GOAT? Is he not? We have to find some Zen balance and just accept of who he is. So we're gonna work through that with Walker a little bit later on. All that's coming up. But tonig's a big night. Individually for Duke and North Carolina, and also for the ACC. It's the third ACC SEC challenge. The SEC riding high off of 14 bids last year? 14 bids last year.
14, and they went 14-2 in the ACC SEC challenge.
Yeah, and the ACC is trying to get itself back into that, what they are, a top college basketball conference. We got the net rankings that have come out. We've seen some Ken Palm numbers and things like that. Big shouts to Brian Ives over at the ACC Network. With the initial net rankings coming out yesterday, he pointed this out. ACC average net ranking in the initial release this year, 71.7. Last year, it was 95.9. This helps as we get into league play. Good numbers feeding good numbers. Bad numbers feed bad numbers, like that 95.9. Before we got into the weekend, after we got done with Feast Week stuff, Brian also pointing out that if you're looking at Ken Palm top 50 teams, there's 9 so far this season, as opposed to 3 at this point last season. The win-loss versus ranked non-conference, 5-9 in this year, 5-25 in 2024, and versus the SEC, it's 4-4 so far. Obviously, the SEC ACC challenge last year went decidedly the SEC's way. That's why you had a 4-30 overall record against the SEC. These things at this time of the year matter. It starts up tonight, and of course, individually, you're looking for bounce-back games for guys like Caleb Wilson and North Carolina as they go to Kentucky, and then Duke doing it again. Caleb Foster, we know what Cam Boozer's about. I know you pointed this out yesterday in relation to Caleb Foster. He's kind of an X factor in all this. He was excellent in that game against Arkansas in the second half. Can you consistently do it? Because that might be the difference between Duke going far in March and not. That's all on the table starting tonight.
Yeah, interesting challenge for Duke getting Florida. As I like to say, you don't pick a team a year late. I suspect Florida, with losses to Arizona and TCU, enjoyed their moment last year, and they're a different team this year. But
fair enough.
Of course, you can make the same argument about Duke. They're a completely different team than the one that we saw last year, and the two of them were down in the Final Four together, obviously, with Florida coming out as the national champion. So Duke's at home. I expect them to take care of business at home because that's what they do. Remember last year, they played Auburn at home, and they took care of business.
They did take care of business in that game. North Carolina gets an actual road game going to Rupp, which, by the way, I love. This is what I love. I think that we've seen this the last couple of years. I know Duke has been doing this. If you care about college basketball and you want college basketball to win back some hearts and minds, having your top tier teams, your blue bloods, if you will, play each other at their respective places goes a long way. Kansas coming to Chapel Hill, big deal. That sort of thing. So Carolina going to Kentucky, kind of a big deal. And I'm interested tonight to see how Caleb Wilson comes off of a game in which Michigan State made life difficult for him. How do you bounce back from that? Is Kentucky as good? Also hurt too. Kentucky's also hurt a lot. How good are they? Are they the same caliber team as Michigan State? Not so sure, but we'll find out tonight.
Mark Pope is in full on, I hate coaching this team through 7 games mode. Like,
that's way too early.
He has been very critical of his players and his team. They've played 2 games this year of merit. They've lost them both.
Yes.
Lost to Louisville 96-88 in a game at Louisville. And then they played Michigan State and they lost 83-66. Again, no shame in losing to Michigan State. It was the Champions Classic game, but they kind of got smoked by the Spartans. So here they are, two teams, both have faced Michigan State this year. Both of them have lost to Michigan State. I would disagree on Caleb Wilson in the sense that I thought he was fine against Michigan State. It's everybody else around him. Bogovich, in particular, struggled against the Spartans. Without Seth Trimble, he's got to play better. I think Vesser kind of does what he does. So it'll be interesting to see if Pope can kind of turn the ship around, but he has been very down on his basketball team thus far this year.
So that's tonight. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll spend a little bit more time talking about it. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll probably be talking about the Duke and Carolina games tomorrow. But I do know that NC State and Auburn play. Again, this is another one of those things of you have the ACC trying to help itself out by having good numbers, being successful against the SEC. But you also have the individual storylines. And I'll be curious to see how NC State bounces back after what I described as a moment of having the smelling salts hit you in Maui.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a stat as to why I think NC State's going to lose on Wednesday. But before I do that, Paul Brazo, man, you let the whole league down, dude. State's pretty good. Louisville's pretty good. Clemson's pretty good. Virginia's pretty good this year. They're all on the road.
Yeah.
And they're all dogs.
Yeah.
Clemson at Alabama, Louisville at Arkansas, State at Auburn, Virginia at Texas. This was not set up for the ACC to have success. I get it. Not everybody can play at home, but to have all of your good teams be on the road in this challenge. Well, what does that matter, Giglio? What does being on the road matter? Well, in NC State's case, particularly or specifically over the last 5 years. So this is data that covers the ACC SEC challenge and the ACC Big Ten challenge.
Okay.
Of those teams in the last 5 years that went to Hawaii and then had to come back and play on the road, there have been 6 instances in the last 5 years. Those teams are 1-5 on the road. The winner was Wisconsin playing a bad Georgia Tech team in 2021. So, scheduled loss on Wednesday for NC State. It just so happens to be a super athletic Auburn team that they'll see.
Is everybody going to be cool about this? We can be rational about
it should be.
this?
Remember a couple of years ago, Carolina, went and they had to go play Indiana.
Yes.
And they lost. And
yes.
I said, this is a scheduled loss, people. You had a short turnaround. You had to go play a good team on the road in a hostile building. And guess what?
Okay.
Let's not draw too many conclusions from a complete and total scheduled trap.
Okay. I just want to.
Now, don't give up 100 points would be my only suggestion. Just lose a normal game would be my suggestion. But I think he's got that under control.
What's normal on NC State? Do you know?
So far this year?
I mean, really, let's be honest. What's normal if you think about it? Isn't that asking for a little too much now?
I think our friend Robin Lamb did ask about, was there a little extra zeal in beating Bill Belichick? I think maybe the part that he left out was, did you enjoy, having to be NC State's savior after Will Wade's performance in Maui? Everyone's been talking up the reckoning and all this other stuff, and motherfucking Dave this whole year, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, you turned your lonely eyes to me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You've seen Toy Story, right?
Yeah, of course.
At the beginning when Woody's all like freaking out because Buzz Lightyear showed up, and he has a dream sequence where he's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And he just drops Woody into the trash bin. And off he goes to play with Buzz Lightyear. I think Dave felt like that. Like, oh, you don't want to play with me anymore. I see what's up. Just took care of business against Carolina.
Might have been some pep in his step for that.
A little extra something in the Red Solo Cup. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Okay. Speaking of
JC said that Dave was feeling under the weather on Saturday. That's why we didn't get the full.
I see.
The full Monty.
Speaking of the Red Solo Cup, pour one out for K&W. K&W Cafeteria.
Did they serve solo cups or
no? They just saying pour it out.
Just giving me a good radio transition.
Yeah, that was my bad. It's fine. It's fine. I saw yesterday that K&W, they're closed down permanently. Speaking of
once they left Cameron Village, it was kind of like that was the canary in the coal mine, right?
I mean, they had the one out there near Greensboro off the highway that I've hit a couple of times with the kids because it was always a good thing to do. If we were still doing radio, as you sneeze over there, if we were still doing radio, I would do a top 4 for K&W cafeteria items. Like, where does the Jello rank on your top four at four?
You want me to say it or no?
Go ahead and say it. They're closed forever.
No, I've never been.
You never? Did you ever go to a cafeteria type spot?
Mm-mm. Remember, I didn't have a car in college, and for the first 2 years after college.
No, but like up in Jersey growing up, did they not have like?
No,
so
we,
like
we had diners.
So like in South Florida, there was a place called Piccadilly's.
Yeah,
and you would find them at the mall. My dad's dad loved Piccadilly. I would always get like the fried fish and dump a bunch of Heinz 57 on it. As again, I was a kid, so I didn't, whatever. But then again, I also didn't do what my grandfather did. He would always get the New England clam chowder and dump a bunch of ketchup in that thing. No. Yes, he loved ketchup.
Ketchup in his clam chowder?
Dude, I don't know. That man loved ketchup. I don't know if it was like a Cuba thing. They didn't have Heinz 57. They didn't have Heinz ketchup in Cuba. Like, I don't know. I've never really asked my dad as to why my grandfather loved ketchup. But I do have distinct memories of going to Piccadilly and him just dumping half a bottle of Heinz 57 in that thing.
Anytime restaurants close like this, makes me think of our friend Anthony Guerra explaining second generations, once they get in charge, it becomes difficult.
What do you mean?
In restaurants in particular, the person who starts the restaurant usually has a true passion and understanding and ability to make it successful. And that doesn't always translate to the second generation in the family. So when you see somebody that closes like this, that's the first thing I think, without knowing anything about their business model or anything else.
Well, I think it's like a business. It's a business model. I think we were actually. Who was I talking to about this the other day? Oh, they
left Cameron Village a long time ago.
It was a hot minute ago. And they also had like some offshoots. There was one off of Six Forks and Strickland called K&S. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
Okay.
So there was a K&S.
I may have been there.
To the K&S?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'd take the kids there. Kayla and I would take the kids there. And it was, because it's fun. You see the Jello molds. They got the desserts. You get to pick your food. All that kind of stuff.
Was it a buffet?
No, it was a cafeteria style. You walk up with the tray, you tell them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
This is not different. This is not like going to the old
Golden Corral.
This is not 35 Chinese off of Kildare Farm Road back in the day. Okay. Which to me, speaking of pouring one out to 35 Chinese off of Kildare Farm Road. Okay. Did you not hit the Chinese buffet where you're at State? Because there was one on Western.
No.
Because now it's the Sushi 9 or
Sushi 9. Yeah,
but I don't think
Roy did Sushi 9.
Roy did Sushi 9. Speaking of fires.
Yeah.
Freaking convention center.
Yeah.
And I think everything's contained. I guess it was the HVAC system on the roof.
Scary.
Very, very scary stuff. No, but to your point about the whole second generation thing, I think it's a deeper conversation. Because you're right. Like when my brother-in-law was living out in the Outer Banks, a lot of those restaurants that made their money between Memorial Day and Labor Day, those families picked up the business and they were like, why am I doing this? So they got out. So a lot of those restaurants, those that were sitting on the sound side, all that kind of stuff, they just shut down. And that real estate was also valuable because people wanted to put big old homes there, right?
That could float off into the ocean.
That's a different conversation for our guy, Sam Walker, right? Shout out to Sam over at OBX News. I think it's more to do with taste changing. Because you go to a cafeteria, the first thing I mentioned was the Jello, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like my buddy Ian, we were talking about having like an old school recipe night that would involve Jello molds. Like who's bringing, like for this past Thanksgiving, did anybody actually bring a Jello mold? Did anybody bring a Waldorf salad?
Yeah, your parents in the 70s were big into Jello molds.
Right.
Yes.
Like who's
that's a thing?
For instance, who's serving up beef stroganoff in 2025?
I love a beef stroganoff.
Right? I love a beef
stroganoff.
I love a beef stroganoff too. Now, where would one get beef stroganoff?
Our friends at the butcher's market could do something with that for us.
I'm sure they can supply us the meat.
No, but they've been working on doing more frozen things.
Yes.
That's what Kenneth was telling me about. Actual messaging for ads moving forward.
Oh, those?
Sometimes he'll check in with me and be like, hey, just so you know, we're going to have a focus in 26 because the market has demanded it.
Yes.
And more people are like you. They walk in and they're like, hey, I want to make this, but obviously
don't have the time.
I'm not going to make it now. I want to go into my freezer instead of having to go back out. Mm-hmm. And, so they've been working on that. So
Yeah, go to the butcher's market as we kind of naturally transition our way into.
Well, no, that was TV dinners back in the 70s too.
Oh man,
you had the Jello mold. You had TV dinners.
My dad.
That's the only time I could get fried chicken as a kid in New Jersey.
What
was the
old
banquet?
Swanson's,
Swanson and Banquet frozen chicken.
So I guess
frozen fried chicken. You put it on the broiler.
Oh man,
and it was actually pretty good.
My dad.
Gonna go to the food line today.
My dad crushed TV dinners. To the point where we even had the little trays.
I still have the trays.
You still have a tray that you could put in front of the couch or your recliner and enjoy while you watched TV. That's why it was a TV dinner. So you could sit and watch. Of course, now you don't need a TV to do that stuff. You have to be one-handed. You're scrolling your phone while also eating at the same time. That's why, quote unquote, handhelds are such a big deal now. But yeah, they're not called sandwiches anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that. Right? You go to restaurants now, they're called handhelds. Bro, it's a burger. Stop it. Regardless. So
it was quite an episode today.
Maybe to wrap this all up and go to the butcher's market, by the way, the butchersmarkets.com. Get all those, they got meatloaf. They have a meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that,
dude, you got me with those biscuits. I'm not even kidding you.
Speaking of old dinners that people don't necessarily do anymore, meatloaf, man, meatloaf. You can get meatloaf at the butcher's market. Mm-hmm. It's all good stuff. Anyway, to wrap all this
really
up,
about the gravy.
Sorry, we went on a tangent. I apologize. To wrap this up, what if the third birthday bash is Jello mold night at Shady's?
Put like lamb in the Jello.
Who says no?
That'd be so bad.
Who says no? Hey, you know who does have a home game in this SEC ACC Challenge? Wake Forest.
Okay.
Oklahoma. 4.5-point favorite, according to DraftKings. Wake Forest.
Deeks have kind of needed these games in years past and not gotten them. So
far they've been trending in the right direction. But yes, they do have to. They do have to. They do have to win this game.
Be slightly weary.
All right. So Duke tonight, 8.5-point favorite against Florida. And then with the Kentucky North Carolina game, Kentucky's a 6.5-point home favorite against the Tar Heels. So that's what we got in the ACC SEC Challenge, according to DraftKings. Of course, lines, odds, they're all subject to change. And while we're locked into hoops tonight, don't forget, we still got football going on right now. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those situations where you're feeling frosty about the Panthers, right? Especially after their big win against the Rams. Why wouldn't you, right? Look, one touchdown can change everything. Just ask Bryce Young. One touchdown on a fourth down can change everything. The crowd, the momentum, the game itself never gets old. And you can feel that rush with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And hey, are you an OG listener in Missouri? There's got to be. I've looked at the map. I've looked at the heat map. I know we've got some listeners in Missouri. We got some Triangle expats out in Missouri.
Well, we got good news for you.
Good news, Missouri. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. So here's the best part. New customers, if you're in Missouri, if you are an OG listener in Missouri, guess what? New customers, bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG25. Again, that's OG25. Bet $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by our friends at Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Hey, shout out to everybody who bought from the OG Triangle Mediashop.com pop-up shop. It is now closed. Done. You will never see those hoodies again.
They'll be gone.
In the vault. But that doesn't mean the merch stops. There's always the secret stash.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the secret stash, We got to get Mikey working on this.
Oh no,
No.
the NASCAR shirt is about done.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I know if you sweet talk him nicely, there might be the Snoopy Tuffy involved in your future. But no, look at this. I didn't realize this.
What?
The James Franklin hire paying immediate dividends. They got a 4-star receiver recruit. You ready for his name?
What is it?
Decommitted from Penn State. He's now going to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Fat Rat Brown. Fat, capital F, Rat Brown. And it's like Nevada. It's like it's Wolf Pack. Fat Rat. One word, 2 caps. Fat Rat Brown. We got to sell Fat Rat shirts.
Well, the next design that I want Mike to work on is the Raleigh Bullfrogs.
Ooh. Boy, you have a kink for obscure 70s, 80s basketball teams.
Chris Corciani.
That was 90s.
Chris Corciani, Bullfrogs was 90s. That was 90s.
Saw Corch at the tailgate on
I saw Corch too.
Saturday.
Did
you get a chance to talk to your dad?
I know he didn't have a chance to talk to my dad because I told him, hey, man, my dad's here. You guys can swap some Hialeah stories. He lit up.
Yes.
He lit up when I mentioned that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks to everybody who hit the OG pop-up shop. But if you're looking for other stuff, Mike, who does a lot of our designs now, you can go to the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. And while you're at it, we would appreciate some reviews on the podcast side. We would appreciate some hypes, likes, comments, all that kind of fun stuff on the YouTube channel. So please help us out. That's the gift you can give us. Hey, guys, what can we get you for Christmas? 5 stars. That's what you can give us. A review. That's what you can give us because it helps with the algorithm. I mentioned the third birthday bash. That's all thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. You can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Shady's is their spot there in historic downtown Garner. We are going to be doing a birthday bash. We keep coming up with crazy ideas. We're going to have to solidify it here because May will be here before you know it, right? Just like, you never know when a legal need might present itself, but always have wh.lawyer ready to go. They can help you out, attorneys and counselors at law. Speaking of expertise, Joe gets hit with random mailings with like tax documents.
Scaring me.
He doesn't know what to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you need a fractional CFO. You might find yourself in the same situation. You get something sent to you, you don't know what it means. You need somebody to handle that for you as a small business owner. That's what Chris Brassfield can do. So check him out, brassfieldaccounting.com in Homer, Alaska. But they have a space here in RTP. In person, they can help you out. And all you got to do is head out to their website, brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. It's funny, we've been talking about the butcher's market, all sorts of stuff you can get there to throw on the grill or prepared meals, etc. How's your grill doing? Did you just put it through the ringer this football season? Do you have an outdoor kitchen that got overworked for Thanksgiving and you got to worry about the holidays coming up, Christmas, New Year's, etc.? You might need a deep grill clean.
It's an amazing idea.
So go to ncgrillrescue.com and get on the schedule today. Again, that's ncgrillrescue.com.
No need to bury your barbecue. Call NC Grill Rescue. And now it's time for your NC Grill Rescue of the week.
What do you got, Joe?
I'm going to send this all out to the New York Giants in total. I don't know which was more. Well, I know what was more ridiculous was Young Ho Koo.
Dude, how do you hit the turf?
I've never seen that in 48 years of watching football.
That was insane.
I have never seen that before. And then second of all, like Jackson Dart, like I get they have to play him. He's their future, this whole thing. But the truth is, Jameis Winston is productive. The players rally around him.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're trying not to win. I know you're trying to figure out what your quarterback is. I get all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is they'd be better off playing Jameis Winston than they are Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
And then third of all, Jackson Dart, my man, mi amigo, buddy, you're just going to people are going to keep lighting you up if you don't figure out how to slide or get the hell out of bounds. Like that one shot he took in the first quarter of that game on the Giants sideline, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Brian Dable's out here going.
53 had that thing lined up from like 20 yards away, and he just lit him up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, that can't happen, man.
Brian Dable's out here going, didn't I get fired for that?
No, they need to actually, the Giants need to fire Brian Dable again.
Yeah.
And then they need to sue him for back pay for the choice to start Russell Wilson over either Dart or Jameis Winston.
Yeah, there's that
Like
too.
they need to do that.
There's
So
that too.
Giants, do the right thing, bring Bill home, get those 15 wins, and fulfill the prophecy as the greatest coach of all time.
Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, he is between two ferns. He is David Hale, ESPN, ACC Network. Go Birds, David. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds. They're going nowhere, but go.
You know what? You'll always have the Saquon sub at Wawa. You'll always have that this year.
It's not even a good look. This, you know what? I don't want to sidetrack this conversation, but it started. He goes golfing with Trump. He comes up with a shitty Wawa sandwich. This all was so foreseeable. Like all of this, we should have seen it coming.
And now Nick Sirianni is going to have to fire his offensive coordinator before the season's out to save his own job.
I would have done that 2 weeks ago. Also, Philly fans are now vandalizing that guy's house. So it's sort of a Mike Norvell situation. Like, just put him out of his misery. Like, no one needs this.
Kind of like nobody really needs this ACC championship game on Saturday, right?
There's a game?
Yeah, there's a game in Charlotte on Saturday, and I got an email from Manny Diaz. I was like very confused by this.
Wait, he emailed you?
No, not actual Manny Diaz.
Oh, okay.
It was I guess because I went to a game this year as just a normie, I'm on the email list, and it was.
So it's like when I get text and it's like, David, this is Roy Cooper. I need you to donate a lot of money. And I'm like, Roy, what are you doing?
Right. Somehow, speaking of Trump, somehow I'm on a mailing list and I get like, Eric Trump texting me that he needs my money right now.
I'd rather hear from Eric Trump, to be honest with you. I feel like that's a more enjoyable conversation.
So it's this email from, we need you there, Duke fans. Like, so we are at some Boston College, Virginia Tech levels of fandom that might be showing up at Bank of America Stadium. But the reason I wanted to bring you on is it's Tuesday. We got the college football playoff looking tonight. It's a TV show. I don't want to get too deep into it. But I do think it's clever that the ACC network is playing as often as it can the Notre Dame Miami game in replay form. I don't know whose decision that is. I have a general idea of who it might be. I think you do too. But I think that's very clever to remind everybody that head-to-head matters, right, David?
As someone who occasionally appears on the ACC network, I've often asked the question, like, who is our audience? Like, what are we doing this for? And the answer that I have largely come up with is, if anyone else is entertained, great. But ideally, the commissioner and the presidents and the athletics directors are the ones who are happy with the programming. And so, yes, I'm not surprised by this in the least. Probably a good move, though probably preaching to the choir as well.
Yeah.
Head to head, you would think should matter. But, but here we are. So
what do you it's going to be set up tonight, right? So give me your best guess at what it looks like tonight, because you can't have magic happen when teams don't play.
Yeah,
so I think Joe says it's a TV show, but I say like tonight actually matters because they're setting up what you can't magically bullshit everybody next week without Notre Dame or Miami playing. So give me your best guess. They went into the week. Miami was 12. Notre Dame was 9. Alabama was 10 and Texas was 16. It feels like from that group, there's 2 spots, right?
So I have been giving this some thought. First of all, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think like there's only so much they can do. Now, I will I'll put a small caveat on this. Alabama is currently 10, and so they would be the last team in, if you will. Well, if you recall, I don't know, go back a whole year. There was a team by the name of Southern Methodist who was not even the last team in. They just happened to be playing a game, and they were the last team that was in that also had a game to play. And a lot of folks were saying, if they lose that ACC championship game, well, that loss should count, and we should move Alabama on into the playoff and knock SMU out. Well, Miami is not playing a game, as you pointed out. Alabama is. And this could be a third loss for Alabama, and including one of those losses being a terrible loss now to Florida State, a team that Miami beat pretty handily. Could that change people's mind? If that happened, and they have a third loss, and you say that's another data point, that's what the committee said last year, then maybe things can change after championship weekend. Maybe. We're not talking about bumping SMU for Alabama, though. We're talking about bumping Alabama for anyone, and I remain dubious that's going to happen. What do I think? I have had this sort of inkling, and I don't know how it would work other than the committee just saying this is what we're going to do. You're going to have to live with it, which they could well do. But it just feels to me they're going to want to punt on this Notre Dame-Miami situation. And so we're either going to get neither of them or both of them in.
I am leaning towards both of them.
I think it's certainly with the fact that the ACC could get left out altogether otherwise, that there might be some desire to at least set up a potential to get Miami in and leave Duke out if Duke wins.
Yes.
I again, I don't know how you do it exactly because they've been putting out these rankings. Nothing's really changed. And I put some stuff out on the Twitters earlier. Like the truly crazy thing about all of this is they screwed up putting Miami where they did when they did. It was a total like AP voter situation of like, this is recency bias and I'm just going to put him here. And the numbers did not suggest that at all. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to backtrack, but they can't. They refuse to just say, well, we screwed up on the first one and we're fixing it now. It's amazing how much they have played this like the AP poll always was, where it's just, it's better to lose early than lose late. And we only move you up and down if you lose. We don't ever go back and reevaluate, which is not how this was supposed to be. But what I'm getting at is nothing has happened. There have been, from the top 18 teams in the playoff rankings every week, 9 losses. 6 of them have been to other top 18 teams. And the 3 that weren't, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Virginia. So go ACC on that one. So the problem that Miami has run into is not only were they underranked, usually in most years where there's at least a little bit of chaos, you can fix that because just things around you will happen and they'll move up. It hadn't happened. We have gotten nothing but the status quo. For a season that started out utterly chaotic, we have had for a month straight nothing but status quo. I think very reasonably, and look, Alabama's played an incredibly good schedule and they have some good wins, but they've also looked like crap for a number of these games. And, moreover, I think you can go compare look, if we're going to say that a 3-loss Alabama would still be in over 2-loss Miami, look at Ole Miss hasn't really done anything, and now they're without a football coach. Texas A&M's best win came whatever ago, and they lost in bad form to Texas, and they really these teams are basically living off of we beat South Carolina in September. Well, yeah, Miami beat Florida in September. Shit doesn't matter anymore because those teams turned out to stink. It's hard for me to say that Miami is not a playoff team. They absolutely are. And I would tell you a lot of years there's a team from the ACC. Clemson didn't belong in there. Clemson was not a playoff team last year. SMU played better than they probably had any right to, but they probably weren't a playoff team last year. There's not a ton of NFL talent on there. This Miami team it could be, you put Miami in the SEC, and I think they'd probably still be 6-2 in conference.
You bring up Ole Miss without a coach, and I think this all ties together because, man, you've spent enough time covering this league that the tinfoil hats. You think state fans are crazy. The people in the state of Florida are absolutely batshit fucking bonkers, and they're convinced the ACC. Talking about the Knowles. They are convinced Boo Corrigan and the ACC didn't do enough to get them into the 4-team field without their quarterback. I asked yesterday, how is this committee? And I get they're different, and I get it's a different format. How are you supposed to treat a team? You punished a team without a quarterback. Mm-hmm. How are you going to treat a team without a coach or any of the coaching staff? Like, I'm being serious right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a reasonable question.
And I ain't saying
And-
move out, but I'm just saying, like,
You
It
basically bank on them winning a championship to spite Lane Kiffin. That's why you put them in. That's why you put them in. They're fueled
And-
by petty.
Look, I would never want to leave them out when they were clearly in, because I think it's messed up to do that to those kids, guys, the players who had no part in any of this.
Yeah.
But like, look, the excuse that they made about leaving Florida State out in 23, Georgia lost their starting quarterback for the playoffs last year, and it didn't matter. Never even came up in conversation.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line was clearly they just didn't want that Florida State team in the playoff, in a 14 playoff. They don't, now it's a 12 team and it's less of a big deal. I mean, this is the thing. We keep trying to apply logic. The bottom line is they're full of shit and they do what they want and then they reverse engineer whatever the explanation is. I mean, it has been this way since 2014 when, Baylor and TCU were the hard decision and they were like, nah, screw it. We'll put in Ohio State. Then Ohio State wins it all. And they're like, see how right we were. It's the same thing again and again. There is never a consistent logic to any of this. And that's, look, I'm very critical. I hate when people say like, well, it's about the 12 best teams or the 4 best teams and not the most deserving. If it's just about best, why are we even playing a freaking season? Like, deserving has to be a part of this.
Well, don't even call it a playoff. Don't even call it a playoff. It's a jamboree at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But fine, even if you want to say that, but at least have the same consistent guidelines or rules, whatever. No, it's every team is different, evaluated in a completely different way. And so, yeah, I mean, I just, like, I spent years being livid about some of this stuff just on principle, and I just realized it's stupid to have principles anymore.
The ACC, let's just go to the doomsday scenario. And you know this better than I do at this point. Duke wins, they get left out. Duke does not deserve to be in the college football playoff. They should accept that. You can't lose to UConn and be in the tournament. Sorry. They get left out. The ACC gets left out. How does that affect their financial cut from the playoff?
I mean, the basics, I think, are the same, right? The group of 5 gets the same amount. The ACC gets the same amount. They always would. What you miss out on is the money that would have gone to the individual teams. That, what is it, 4 million, 8 million, whatever. So, I mean, there is
performance bonuses, basically, right?
There is an issue here, but it's the issue is much more the PR hit to this, and the fact that, I mean, the ACC. You guys know this. Like, we talk about the unfair narrative every year, and a lot of years it is true. I mean, they might be bad, but not as bad as people want to paint them to be. Yeah. But last year sucked, and then they go 2-11 in bowl season, and then this year you have this shit happening, and it's like, I mean, you almost forget. Like, last year, by Clemson winning the ACC championship game, they lost out on a first round bye that they should have had. Like, they were a group of 5 league past them last year too. Like, this is an embarrassment. And the league is not that bad. It's not like the league is markedly better than the Sun Belt or the American. Like, it is, but that's not the goal. Like, the goal is you got to get teams into the playoff, and you can't embarrass yourself.
So to that end, based on your conversations around the league, is there a renewed appetite for saying, all right, we'll take the 2 guaranteed spots at the expense of the SEC and the Big Ten getting more guaranteed spots? Because I understood the argument at first, but we're seeing this play out, and it's almost like more often than not, getting the 2 is probably the thing that you should probably lean towards at this point.
I had multiple ADs tell me that back when everybody hated the idea.
Okay.
So yes, I do think that there is a thought of like, I don't even think that they were averse to the guaranteed bids. They were averse to being put on the same level as the Big 12 and being considered half as good as the Big 10. And honestly, I don't argue with that more years than not. The ACC is better than the Big 12 and not half as good as the Big 10. I think if they were to come out and say, like, whatever we're going to do, it's going to be like a 4-4-3-2 or something like that, maybe. But, like, I mean, Manny Diaz said this on Sunday, like, the conferences have become so unwieldy that it is impossible to do this. And look, the bottom line, we got to a 5th tiebreaker in a 3-team tie. And the difference, I mean, not exactly the difference, but mostly the difference, which is chef's kiss here, is that Miami had to play Florida State, who freaking sucked. So Florida State playing checkers, not chess, is keeping Miami out of the ACC championship game. Like, it's so stupid, though. That is an incredibly stupid way of doing this, but it is just real. And look, I mean, it doesn't matter who's playing in the SEC because they're all going to get in. But if this was a thing that bumped A&M out, like, that's a problem. Look at what happened to the Mountain West. They had to freaking wait an extra day and have a bunch of Bill Connolly nerds put together the numbers and tell them who's playing. Like, it's not football anymore.
I was going to say, because I know in the tiebreakers, there's one step between where we ended up with, the combined winning percentages. There's one step between that and drawing names out of a hat. And what I did not realize, it wasn't just Jim Phillips didn't have to be the one who pulled the names out of the hat. He could assign
anybody
somebody to do it.
It could have been you.
Right. So just like, so Giglio and I started wondering, like, who would Jim Phillips pick? Like, do you think should I be insulted that we didn't get picked? Like, would Josh Graham be the one?
No, it wouldn't have been anybody. He would have picked like a lawyer or something.
Like, let Andrea do it. Yeah.
See, she's the closest thing we have to an objective source here. Anyway,
let Andrea.
Speaking of people who understand
it would see that actually would have been good TV. Like, people would have tuned into ACC Network for an entire hour-long studio show prepared to show this, and the ACC would have still flubbed it somehow. They would have had ChatGPT do it.
No, they would need look, we're giving this stuff away for free. I know they pay Fishbait or whoever it is the consulting fee to come up with this stuff. But honestly, we could workshop this right now. Where Wes Durham gets an old checkered jacket, sport coat. We get the long mic that you want.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Price is Right one. The
Price is Right one, and Wes with his booming announcer voice, like "Welcome to Charlotte." And we have, everybody. You almost set it up like the NBA draft lottery.
David Stern, old school style. With the frozen envelope, and just turn the
right. If everything is TV, then you got to skip that sports analytics solution crap.
Oh my God!
Is tiebreaker.
That was the one after,
right. And let's just get to the last one, okay? Which is,
I think you skip all of them, and if you have a 3-team tie or more, it's a round robin paper rock scissors tournament between the head coaches. Because that is great TV. Mario Cristobal is like, I'm coming in with rock. Nobody's going to see that coming, and he comes in and every part of Rhett Lashley's like, I knew he was going rock the whole time. I swiped him with paper. That's great TV. I would watch the hell out of this.
Nah, I'm pretty sure the old ACC office in Greensboro is vacated still. It's vacant. They have not leased it out again. I think you turn it into a miniature putt-putt course. Around various offices. The final hole is the old John Swafford office. And then you can get your own designated golfer if you want. And you do that. Look, we got nothing but ideas for this.
What about some sort of an escape room scenario where the coaches have to work together to try to get out of it? And whatever 2 coaches manage to pair up, you're like, okay, those go play.
They're the ones that go.
Because there's a moral lesson involved in it too. Then.
All right.
Narduzzi has the Rambo headband.
It could be like Charlie Steiner. It's like, follow me to freedom.
Follow me to Charlotte. All right. Speaking of coaches, transitioning off the college football playoff. Are you surprised that Mike Norvell is coming back? Are you surprised that we've got, well, I guess let me rephrase here. Clemson and Florida State have some soul searching to do. I think we would agree on that. So our question, what is the soul searching that's happening right now at Tallahassee with Mike Norvell, who's coming back? And what's the soul searching going on? Because you're the Dabo whisperer, man. What is happening in Clemson after a season like that? Which, let's go back to the summer. And Dabo was given the benefit of the doubt for bringing back an experienced team. And they have that to show for it. So I guess Dabo's got some soul searching to do here too, because we're not here without the top end teams producing the way they're supposed to.
100%. And
So-
I've been working on this story a little bit at a time that hopefully will come out at the end of this week. But one of the things, if you want to know why the ACC is where it is, one of the reasons is the last time that Miami, Florida State, and Clemson all won 8 regular season games in the same season was 2016. We're a decade away from that. In the SEC and the Big Ten, that happens almost every year with their big 3 teams. So, so much of this just comes down to, you want to know why the narrative sucks? That's why the narrative sucks. But yeah, so I'll start with Florida State because this is frankly just, they didn't have the money. Like, there's just no other way to
I'm
say
sorry.
this.
That's not what I was
That's
told
not
about.
what I've been told. My
The Knoll?
the YouTube comment section
What?
from the Knowles
Yeah.
fans who find us, they say you're full of crap. What do you mean we're broke? We're not broke.
Yeah.
Nah, y'all are broke.
Could you find the money to fire him? Yes. Would you then have enough money to hire someone else good and pay for better players? No. And look, frankly,
I'm going to stop you and disagree with you because Penn State did this right. I think Mike Norvell would have gotten a job very easily in this cycle. I think he would have. And if they had fired him after that Stanford game, he goes, gets the offset language. We're on our way. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, okay, I will say this too. How the last 2 years have gone there is inexcusable, and the decisions that he has made that have got us there is inexcusable. Like DJ Uyunglele that's a problem. But like, you go watch Florida State's games this year, and it's like, I can't even put it on coaching because no one is coaching them to do this shit. It is just like a Monty Python routine.
The pun off the
It
helmet.
is unbelievable. And I truly do think, and I mean, I guess this supports your point, Joe, is that I think Mike Norvell is actually a really good coach. I think he has not stayed true to a lot of the things that he believes in to try to make things work because there's a lot of pressure on him to do it, and it just hasn't come out well. So I almost wonder if there's like a lame duck situation next year where it's either going to go horribly because he can't get anybody to come in to a place that everybody thinks he's on his way out, or the saying "F it" is actually just what he needed to do in the first place, and it kind of is this like weight off of the shoulders. With Dabo, it's a different scenario because, again, I think the problem is probably more that he hasn't wandered enough from his core systems, his core way of doing things. I mean, you didn't have to watch much Clemson football this year to just see him like seething on the sidelines with his offensive coordinator. So I will be pretty surprised if Garrett Riley is back next year because I just think Dabo, there was not a lot of eye to eye on how that unfolded. There was clearly areas where if he had gone harder on the portal, it probably would have made the team better. But people are always like, Dabo hates the portal. It's not exactly true. The problem for Dabo with the transfer portal all along has been that he overvalues his own players. And so he looks in the portal and he doesn't see guys who he thinks helps his team. And worse than that, in some ways, is he keeps too many guys on his roster who are not helping his team at all. And so they're basically playing with not a hand tied behind their back, but less than 2 hands for the fight. And so I think that's a big thing is like, how much is he going to be willing to take a hard look at guys that look, from a moral standpoint, from what we all used to say college sports were about before it just became professional sports, like, good for him. He wants to see guys, he wants to invest in guys and see them pay off down the road. It doesn't work anymore at the highest level. You can't have 25 guys on your scholarship roster who are offering you nothing. You just can't do it this day and age. And then the other side of that is he's again so loyal to his guys. Go click on their website and look at their staff. Not the on-field staff, because that's bad too, but the whole like behind-the-scenes staff of it. It is like the rosters from past teams.
Yeah.
Like it's all just Clemson guys. And it's funny, I was talking to James Franklin after he got hired at Virginia Tech, and he said, one of the things about places like Penn State or Virginia Tech, and Clemson came to mind as he's saying this, is people go there, and it's this sort of family environment in a lot of ways. And a lot of people are just institutions there. They go and they never leave. And so they're doing the same things over and over again. They don't even know what to, it's not even that they're bad at their job or lazy. They don't even know what to compare it to. And there's so much of that at Clemson that is just like, we don't like, why would we do it any different way? Or we don't know any other way to do it. And a lot of that, I mean, I think that's what hurt Frank Beamer at the end of his tenure. It's what hurt Bobby Bowden at the end of his tenure and beyond, is these people don't leave and they don't learn. And it just, you stay there. And in a lot of cases, they fight back against necessary change. And so I will be very interested, because I think there are people at Clemson who are well aware of all of this. And I will be interested how willing Dabo is to have hard conversations with people he truly likes and respects.
Irony alert, the Morris kid should have been his quarterback. Number one. Number two, I don't remember the last time they had a receiver or a running back that I sat there and said, you know, that's a Clemson kid. That's a first round pick. That's the hammer that we're all used to down at Clemson. Number two, 2019, and I remember this well. So you can thank me and tell me I was right now, Clemson fans. 2019, Clemson comes here.
Yeah.
Their whole staff wears either white or orange. They all had the same color on. Brent Venables had a purple pullover on. And I thought to myself, that's kind of weird to me, that the one guy who's different is the DC. But then you watch him coach the game. He's coaching the team. And I pointed this out in real time. Here's the real coach of Clemson, is Brent Venables. He's the one, looks different, is more demonstrative on the sidelines, is clearly calling the plays.
Had a get back
obviously
guy.
Defensively, had his own get back guy.
Yeah.
The number of Clemson fans who got mad at me in 2019 in a game, by the way, that they won by 100 points. All right.
People were leaving in the first quarter.
But I pointed this out, and here we are. And look who's in the playoff.
Well,
and look who's adjusted.
Well, and I will say,
look who's missing.
I mean, look,
down in Death
at
Valley.
the time too, Joe, like, I'm talking about how bad things are with like the insular nature of their staff now. At that time, like, Brent was the only guy on staff who had coached anywhere else.
Right.
Like, that was and he's always been.
no, but that was hold up.
That wasn't
was
a bad
feature.
thing. Right.
That was the
Dabo
feature.
recruited, hugged him up,
Dabo
loved him up.
Was what was supposed
CEO.
to be the CEO coach. Well, to succeed as a CEO coach, you have to put and identify the right people there to get you where do you need to be. Somewhere along the lines, they bought their own bullshit. They bought their own culture, and it stopped being about I'm doing what's best for the program, and it ended up being what's best for me. That is not a good CEO level coach, because the whole idea of the CEO coach stuff is where all this is all headed anyway. Clemson was ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's why this Lane Kiffin stuff I'm laughing at, because that is the last gasp of what we know college football to be. That's the last gasp. The character coach,
The superstar coach.
the superstar character coach that demands your attention. No, it's going to be, as you've been saying, almost an MBA-ification of bringing a guy in to oversee a bunch of stuff and then putting everybody on staff that's excellent to exceed. Your strength and conditioning coaches have to be on top of it. All these things, right? Somewhere along the lines, they bought their own bullshit. And that's true of Clemson's not alone in that, by the way. Every institution does this. Every single one of them does it. And then Virginia Tech did this. Carolina basketball did this. You finally have to get yourself out of it. You eventually come to that conclusion eventually, but it might be too late for Dabo. Might be too late for Dabo. I don't know.
I think you're the perfect example of this is like he brought in 2 outside coordinators when he had to. I mean, not because he wanted to, when he had to. But how many did he let those guys bring any of their own people with them? None. It's all still Clemson staff around Tom Allen and Garrett Riley.
Yep. David Hale, ESPN, ACC Network, between two ferns. We didn't even have enough time for you to extol the virtues of Dave Doran in year 14.
I'm glad to have Dave Doran back, because I think the world is a better place with Dave Doran.
And now Brazil's going to be better for it too. Brazil's going to be better for it too.
I want to go drinking down in Brazil on a site visit with Dave Doran. Let's make that happen.
And last question, over under how many times we'll hear from Bill Belichick between now and second signing day in February? I'm going to set it in the
I
chat.
have this feeling like they're gonna open camp in like late July, and a bunch of people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, he still works here! I had totally forgotten."
I'm going to set it at a half. Are we going to hear from Bill Belichick between now and February?
I'm gonna say twice between now and February.
Okay.
Well, and not counting like tersely worded one sentence press releases denying something or angrily attacking Robert Kraft about something.
Or Pablo. All right, man.
Yeah.
We
All right, guys.
appreciate it. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Big thanks to Roback. The 20% off site-wide sale has come to a close. I took advantage of it yesterday. Ordered some new base layer shirts to wear underneath my shackets and all that kind of fun stuff. Kelly ended up getting some hoodies and some sweats. All fantastic stuff. And yeah, you saw me wearing that Roback hoodie yesterday. Shh. We don't talk about it.
I don't know where mine is. You're a slacker.
It's in the car. We'll
We'll
worry
go
about it
tomorrow.
later. But in the meantime, did you miss that on the sale?
No, I didn't, because I got Jack, our guy, the golden retriever.
Perfect.
And actually, they have a special right now on their dog themed shirts.
They do.
Yes,
There's a lot of dog lovers out there.
there are, and
So-
you can get him a little scarf too.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's matching.
That's adorable. I'm not even a dog
I know.
person, and I'm like,
I
oh, that's cute. Use the promo code if you missed it on the sale. Now it's time. OG20. Use that promo code. You can save 20% off your order at Roback. Big thanks to Hometown Realty. You can check them out online at myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. Look, it's kind of a weird time. I see this in my own neighborhood where I see for sale signs and houses have been sitting there for like a hot minute. Is it the right time to put your house on the market? Talk to the experts. Every area is different. Or maybe you're looking to buy a house and you see these houses sitting on the market for a long time and wondering, can I get the price down on this thing? Again, talk to the experts. myhtr.com. Hometown Realty. Speaking of your home, maybe you're not interested in moving, but your house does need a glow up. One real easy way to do it is with our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. We brought you the After Dark on Saturday. We got more After Darks on the way for basketball and hockey, of course. But in the meantime, hit up our friends Chris and the crew at Bloomin' Blinds, 919-980-9815, or visit them online at bloominblinds.com. That's Bloomin, I-N, blinds.com. 10 or more window treatments, you will get 10% off. Bloomin' Blinds also with the Pink Friday deal. So that's running through December. So go ahead and take advantage of it. Again, that's bloominblinds.com. And of course, Two Roosters. We went over some of those ice cream flavors yesterday. I do want to go and get the reindeer tracks, which sounds off the charts phenomenal.
The rum chata and coconut has got to be the number one draft pick out of this month.
My dad would likely pour some Remy Martin into that ice cream if he could. I want to get the reindeer tracks. They open up, 2:00 today?
Tuesday.
All right. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing when we get out of here. I'm excited about this. So go to tworoosters.com. They have fantastic stuff. Again, that's tworoosters.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from WFNZ in Charlotte, he is Walker Mehl. Welcome, sir. I would imagine that you're experiencing whiplash week to week talking about the Carolina Panthers.
I don't know if you've been to Carowinds before, but this coaster, everybody has described this team as riding a roller coaster, the experience watching this team riding a coaster. This is like the wooden roller coaster that you don't know why you want to hop back on, but you do. The hurler, if you've been to Carowinds.
Yes.
I don't even know if that ride still exists. I was too tall to ride it after a while. It hurt, but I still wanted to do it. It's kind of like the Carolina Panthers. They are equal to the hurler at Carowinds.
Yeah, you're referencing the old Wayne's World themed area with I think I'm gonna hurl. And yeah, I do feel like a lot of Panthers fans are feeling that way over the last couple of weeks. And I think it's funny from my perspective, not being in it every single day, not talking about the Panthers and riding that emotional roller coaster. Maybe I'm looking at it from a very objective kind of 5,000 foot view. The Panthers are very much like an NFL team right now, like everybody else in the NFL. where 1 week you look like a Super Bowl contender. The next week you have a loss that makes everybody go, what the hell was that? And the Panthers are very much in that mode. I think that's progress. I think that's good for Dave, the future of Dave Canales. I think that's good for the future of Dan Morgan, the general manager. And if this is what you're going to get out of Bryce Young, where he can manage the game and you put him in a position to make a throw that you need, which is something he is capable of doing.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to put up gaudy stats, but if, like, look at those fourth downs, he's going to throw some dimes. That's a good recipe for where this could be headed with Canales, Bryce Young, and that franchise.
Emphasis on right now in the NFL. This is what the NFL is right now. Dare I introduce the parity conversation, but goodness gracious, like when you have the Pat Mahomes teams and the Josh Allen teams and the Lamar Jackson teams all down here with the rest of us for a change, that it's about as close as you get with it's really anybody's ball game. And then the classic every time we anoint a team as the best team in the league, which, by the way, I still believe that to be true about the Rams. I still believe they are the best team in the NFL. The Panthers, you convert on a couple of fourth downs with dimes from Bryce Young, and the Rams had the worst kind of turnovers. They had 2 turnovers in the red zone, and they had a pick six.
Yeah.
Like one of them was kind of in the red zone. It was close to it. They were driving. But those are the worst kind of turnovers of the Panthers played real clean football. And so here they are as a 500 football team, and all of us are having fun with the Tiger Woods, John Daly meme. I did not expect John Daly to have a better record than Tiger Woods when I would look at the meme. And yet here we are, Tiger being the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, man, I think you sum it up pretty well in that we kind of are where we wanted to be all along, and even then some. And if 2026 was always the year that the Panthers were looking to compete for real, they were going to go to the playoffs in 2026, and then we'll see what happens. The fact that you're still in the playoff hunt now, but like legitimately so, it doesn't seem so fluky. You beat the Packers, good win. You controlled the football. That didn't seem crazy fluky. You beat the Rams, and you made a lot of those plays. You forced those turnovers. Even if it was the worst kind for the Rams, you forced a lot of them.
I mean, the Derek Brown strip sack, that's Derek Brown being
a monster. That's Derek Brown being better than you are. And so, like, all that stuff kind of adds up to Panthers are 500 in a weak division, and the weak division helps you, especially with Tampa, all the injuries that they've experienced, and Baker Mayfield's throwing with one AC joint.
No, but Walker, this is where I'm going to stop you. Now you're falling for it. You're falling for it. You think
I've fallen for it before, I will say.
The roller coaster ride is over, then all of a sudden you start hearing that clack, 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 clack. Oh no, I thought we were done. You're going to drop me again? And I think that's the issue with the Carolina Panthers is like, how can you do this against the Rams? Now, the Rams, Matt Stafford specifically in bad weather situations, not great. But again, you took advantage of it. But this is a team that I watched incapable of moving the ball against the Saints. Okay? So I understand what you're saying about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's right there for them, and they're dealing with some injuries. They play them twice. They're only a half game back in the division. Why not us, right? Well, I know why not you, because I've seen this as well. You're capable of both things. So why would I even try to use football instinct or years of watching sports to try to make sense of this? At this point, man, I'm along for the ride, and I'm drinking 10-year-old Bud Light 50.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
10 years old? Are you serious? 10 years? I was looking at, just the fact that the Super Bowl run was 10 years ago doesn't feel like it was 10 years ago. And I appreciate you for caring about my safety. I do appreciate you for stopping me before I go all the way off of the deep end, stopping me before I jump into the playoff pool. I do. Part of the good feeling is Tampa Bay not being good. That's part of it. It's the weak division. So I put my faith more so in other teams being bad than my team being good, which I do think is a difference. The other thing is it doesn't mean that I'm hoping that we get there or I predict that they're going to get there. My thought process is that they're pretty close right now, and they have 2 games against Tampa, and there is a shot for them to do so. Let's say they don't get to the postseason like I predict. I don't think they're going to get it. So let's say they don't get there, but here they are as a 8-9 win team. Joe, here's one thing that I'm kind of looking at. What I would love is for the Panthers to set themselves up for the first time ever to have back-to-back winning seasons. Like it is the mark of inconsistency. If they win 9 games, the 2026 season being the season that they are supposed to go for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That man, look, I know they had the 3-year run where they were in the playoffs every single year.
That was the great Ron Rivera trick. You mentioned the back-to-back winning season.
Yep.
Ron always had the little asterisk in that.
That's right.
Three.
Yeah.
Right. You were a division winner with a losing record. Like, come on.
7 wins got it done. 7 wins got it done. It's not going to get it done even in a division as bad as what the NFC South is right now. But that's what I'm kind of hoping for here. Like, to me, 9 wins, set yourself up for back-to-back winning seasons. That feels like stability in a way that we haven't had in a while.
All right. So about Bryce Young, and this is the thing that I've been curious about. I kind of know what he is. I think what we saw on Sunday is the best of what you're going to get out of Bryce Young. Manage the game, put yourself in a position to make a big throw, and execute. Awesome. Have people come around on this yet? Or are we still, when you're looking at the text line and you're taking calls and, Mac and Bone are losing their minds in the morning on WFNZ, are we still doing this debate about what he is and what he isn't? Because I think I know what he is. Now you just have to build the team around what he is and manage a game for what he is.
Oh no, we're still doing it, baby. Yeah, well, nobody knows what he is over here. We're still having that conversation.
Whoa. What do you mean nobody knows? We know what he is.
The fan base doesn't know what he is. Like to me, I'll be honest, man. You're a lot more confident in that than I am.
Okay,
because I'm not entirely sure. Here's the thing about Bryce. It's not that he plays all right every once in a while and he game manages in the sense of how we've come to know what that term is, right?
Sure.
It's that he throws dimes. It's that if he's protected, he throws extremely accurate passes on the money in clutch time situations. And I'll tell you this, here's because I've been very skeptical about this. I think if you were to ask most WFNZ listeners who is not all the way out, perhaps sitting the fence on this, on like what Bryce is as a quarterback, they might point to me as the dude who doesn't have it figured out the most.
Okay.
But the problem is everybody else is saying he's Tom Brady or he's JJ McCarthy. Right. So to me, the stat that I've had the hardest time trying to figure out what it truly means are the game-winning drives.
Yeah, the Panthers put out, I'm guessing Darren Gant had that graphic ready to go. Although, as Giglio pointed out, sure, Gant probably didn't put the graphic all the way together because they used Peyton Manning in a Denver Broncos uniform, which, again, if we're talking about 10 years ago, no. That's right. You're going to make me drink another one of these based on Peyton Manning. Now, yeah, what is it? He's the youngest quarterback to have 11 game-winning drives.
Whatever it is, yeah.
But let's put those game-winning drives in perspective. We get into the whole QB wins situation.
That's right.
In this year alone, a lot of those drives were Rico Dowdle, right? So why are we assigning that to Bryce Young? I'm not saying that Bryce Young wasn't crucial in some aspect of those drives. Again, it gets back to those throws. If I need you to make a throw in this situation, he's done that more often than not. But this is not Tom Brady orchestrating a late game drive. This is not Patrick Mahomes going, "Oh, you giving me 23 seconds? No problem." That's not what this is.
Yeah. And especially the Pat Mahomes part, where I guess if you go to the theory of like Tom Brady just check downing to death to lead them to a game-winning drive, then maybe that's a little bit more comparable to Bryce. But he's not Pat Mahomesing this. You're absolutely right about that.
Or Josh Allen.
No, not even close to all of that. You're totally right. But everything you're saying goes into the uncertainty that I have on what to do with that, right? Like I've really tried to figure out, and it's not a rhetorical question, it's an information-seeking question. I really don't know what to do with this because you're right. Rico Dowdle had a lot to do with some of those. And the other thing is you have to have game-winning drives if you're down a lot of the times in these games. So that's the key part. You have been down. You have not had the lead. You have not been able to win by 7 points, 10 points or more. You have to rely on these game-winning drives. But I can't get so lost in the sauce that I spin zone this and say that the game-winning drives are bad. Like I can't get there, even if the situation leading up to it.
And I hope people understand I'm not doing that either. What I'm trying to illustrate here is there is a zen place to be about Bryce Young. And I think this season I have finally achieved the zen balance about Bryce Young. This is what he is. You can build around it. But like the Panthers, please don't use a goat emoji when promoting Bryce Young. Please don't do that.
This is the hard part, though, because I think this is why I have not reached Zen, and I don't see myself reaching Zen. Although, congratulations, I hope to be on that path at some point. The thing for me, the Panthers have to figure out is what he is Zen worth $45 million annually? That's what they got to figure out. They don't have to figure it out now, because they can pick up the 5th-year option. I would pick up the 5th-year option, $26 million, something like that, because I don't want to be in the business of looking for quarterbacks again. It's just not fun. This right now, it's definitely good enough, right? It's good enough. So when the time comes and he continues to be this, is that worth $45 million? The contract extensions for the draft picks, they're not the Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold contracts where you just rest at 30. Nah, man, those guys get 45. That's what makes it hard. That's what makes the Tua contract negotiation hard. It's, I don't think you're 50 million, but here you go. Like
that's the going rate. I mean, honestly, that's the going rate for a quarterback. People get, I think people do lose their minds over what quarterbacks get paid, but I do think that's just market forces in that situation. And if anything, what I would argue, if we let's pick this apart a little bit.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Ultimately, you should just pick up the option. Okay, but you're also gambling, and there is a long history of NFL contract negotiations. I'm looking specifically at the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, where if you had just knocked the contract out when you had a chance to knock out the contract a little earlier, you would be saving money down the line, because the price of the brick when it comes to the quarterback ain't going down. So you might as well lock it in now, and then you'll end up saving money in the long run, because the gamble is you pick up the option, he continues this pace, and now you're going to cost yourself more money in the contract negotiation.
That's the conundrum, though. Like, going back to Dallas, man, Dak Prescott got the goods. Like, Dak, I know that there were people that weren't in on him. Man, all right, that's something entirely different. I go back to the Tua situation. Does Miami regret giving him that contract? I would say yes.
Yes.
So if Bryce showed us that you could give him a lot of money, taking a lot of money from other pots to make your team better because he's so good that he can make up for that, cool. But this is where the uncertainty comes back. This is why I can't reach Zen, Joe. This right here is because if you and I agree on this for sure, Bryce needs people around him.
Yes.
He needs to be set up. And if he's set up, man, he can deal it. He can certainly deal it. But he needs to be set up. What happens when you take the money from other pots, you put it in the Bryce Young pot, and you can't set him up nearly as much? That's the issue, which I still don't know. I still don't know.
All right. Dave Canales. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt as he's learning on the job a little bit. I think he's learned a little bit from saying things on a Sunday and then having to double back on a Monday. I think he's gotten a little bit better about that. But I'm still somewhat confused on a game-to-game basis as to what his game plan is. I see growth, right? I see growth on Sunday in that it wasn't just, I'm going to try to make a running back happen. It's balance. He always talks about balance. You know, he was trying to make Chuba a thing when he came back, when Rico Dowdle was the hot hand. Why did you do that, right? I think in this game against the Rams, you saw both of them getting a substantial amount of carries because it was, all right, who's the one who's actually riding this thing out? I thought that was growth. But also there are times where he looks like a guy who doesn't even trust Bryce Young to make a throw, like in the Saints game. But then in these situations, he sees what in the situations against the Rams, he says, oh, you guys don't respect Bryce. You're going to sell out to stop us on a 4th and short. We're going to pick on you. And obviously we saw those 2 big 4th down plays resulting in touchdowns. So we're like, oh, so you do trust Bryce in this situation. It's like, which one is it? You know what? You want to talk about the roller coaster. There are times with Dave Canales that I'm wondering, what is it about today that doesn't make you trust something? What is it about today that you're stubborn, whereas the following week you actually look like a guy that wants to put it on the table and just let this thing go? I am confused on a week-to-week basis with Canales.
San Francisco is the worst game plan that he's had all year long. I didn't understand it.
No,
I actually think it was San Francisco because he had success running it and he only ran it a few times, and that was the weird thing about it. Against the Saints, I go back and watch it, and for me, is Bryce just not challenging downfield on his own accord, or is it Dave directing him to throw for the most part where he's throwing? And like I've had some issues with him not trusting Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker, that's a guy I trust to come down with the football. Like that's his game, 50-50. I'm stronger than you. go throw it to him. And it feels like he's open. Bryce isn't throwing to him.
Yeah.
The Saints game was bad, but San Francisco, man, Rico was running well. Even Chuba, who seems to be a lot healthier than he was when he felt the need to come back quickly because Rico was taking his job and wasn't going to give it away.
Mhm.
So like Chuba looks healthy. He looked healthy against San Francisco, and you still didn't run. And it can't be this whole game script thing being down too many points in the second half. You won by what? Like you lost by 11, right? Like this game was not so far away that you couldn't get back to what you had been good at all season long. I felt like this game against LA was the best marriage of concepts of we're going to take shots downfield because Bryce can hit that throw if he takes advantage of one-on-one situations. But we're also going to be, here's the word, stubborn, running the football, which is what he promised us at the beginning of all of this. I think Dave gets a little too lost in what is the defense telling me I should do? I'll go ahead and do that. Against the Rams, he forced the issue. Our offensive line, through all of its combinations, we can run block. It's what we do. We got two good running backs, one really good one that is healthier and was good last year in Chuba. So we're just going to run the football constantly. And man, they had like a 12-play sequence, I think, where they ran the ball all the time. They run, play, 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards. And you married that with explosive football, which looked a lot more like what he was doing in Tampa. That got him this job. You're right. I don't know why he breaks away from it. I think he breaks away from it because he cares too much about what the defense is doing and the looks that he's being shown. And I get it. I like my offensive coordinator. I like my play caller to understand what's in front of them. But they can trick you, man. Like they can drop guys back. You
got to play your game.
You got to play your game. You got to play your game.
You dictate.
That's right.
What the game is.
100%.
That's the one thing that has bothered me about Dave Canales. All right, last thing, man. Because again, this is why I love talking to you. Love talking to Kyle, all you guys over at FNZ, because you're there. You know, boots on the ground. You're there all the time. David, is David Tepper around? Does he still own the team?
We haven't heard from him. I said that was a great thing.
Direct correlation.
Yeah, I talked about this the other day.
Okay,
so I think it was it Friday? I had this very conversation. It's funny how you don't hear from somebody in a while, but like everybody goes to the same thing after having him been radio silent for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like I talked about this very thing. I'm with you. Haven't heard from him. Don't hear from him at all. He's not taking hats off of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's not throwing drinks at anybody. We don't have any reports about him meddling. The only thing that we see is the occasional social media video of Dave Canales giving the rah-rah speech after a victory and Tepper's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, that's typical. That is typical NFL owner behavior.
Cool. That's all we see, man. Like you asked, is there a direct correlation? Look, I will give him credit. It feels weird to say. I know. It feels weird. No, I will give him credit. Like my whole thing about Tepper has been philosophically, I've always understood the diversity of thought process. Hey, if we get a whole bunch of people that are smart in their own worlds and bring them together, well, we're going to be immortal. We can't get beat. Like, I get the idea of that. Ultimately, you just had the classic too many cooks in the kitchen type thing, too many chefs in the kitchen. So went horribly, horribly wrong. Then you decided to let Dan Morgan do everything he wanted to do. He hires a guy that he's familiar with. Dave Canales hires all of the staff that he's familiar with. And you keep the defensive staff, which was the only stable thing in the whole Frank Reich era, was the defensive staff. Everybody was on the same page. Dom Capers, Avero, they all worked together. So you keep the only stable thing back. That's cool. Yeah. So now you're just letting them all do their thing. And it takes a little time, but we're going in the right direction. And that's where I'll give David Tepper some credit. I haven't heard from him. I'm not asking to hear from him, Joe. I'm cool with how much I'm hearing from him right now.
I haven't heard anything about the Hornets, by the way. Walker.
Todd Knipple. Hey, man, your boy now. Come on, right? Todd Knipple has been phenomenal. Thank you very much for allowing us to take him. It's been great. Season's over, but Con's been great.
Hey, right. I was going to say it's December 2nd, and the Hornet season is over.
It is.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll always have the Summer League championship.
We will. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. That's the only thing. Even if it costs me $50 for the t-shirt, yeah, that's all right.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Later.
Big thanks to our friends at Happy and Hale. We got some hockey breaks coming up this week.
Take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
So we're going to talk to Luke DeCock tomorrow to get to the bottom of some of the things that have been going on with the Hurricanes, like the Svechnikov stuff and, you know, why is there a civil war breaking out over goaltending amongst Canes fans and everything else. And we're also scheduled to be joined by Eric Stahl, Stanley Cup champion.
Okay.
We're going to record something with him tomorrow because next week, a week from today, they're doing the 20th anniversary Stanley Cup celebration at Lenovo Center.
Okay. Seems like an odd time of the year for it, but
I mean, it's the 2005-2006 season, so you might as well celebrate with it. Something tells me that, I think the alumni game's on Monday. Something tells me that this isn't the last of the celebrations marking the 20th anniversary.
No, shouldn't be.
But
I celebrate the whole year.
But I do know that they got some stuff going down on Tuesday, and we are scheduled to talk to Eric Stahl. In the meantime,
they're 5-1 against Canadian teams this season.
That's pretty good.
They get another one here on Thursday. So if you like free money, as long as Friday's not starting, Canes. Canes get Toronto on Thursday. Sign me up for the Canes on Thursday, please.
Yeah, let's do that. Definitely do that. So big thanks to Happy and Hale. Use that promo code OG25 on the app and save 25% off your first order. Big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check him out online at suregarner.com or call him directly at 919-779-8277. You're looking back on 2025 and you're probably thinking to yourself, you know what? I probably could have handled my money better. I probably could have done some better future planning. Well, guess what? Not only is Matt saving you money on home and auto insurance, they can also help you with financial planning. So hit them up today, 919-779-8277, or visit insuregarner.com. Gordon Miller Lending. He's going to be in studio tomorrow. I haven't been in studio with Gordon for a hot minute now. I know he's in town to watch the Duke-Florida game. And we'll get to, we're not going to discuss 50-year mortgages or any of that kind of stuff. We'll just talk about,
probably a lot of hoops
and consolidating debt because it's Christmas time and racking up them credit card bills.
Excellent idea.
Got to consolidate that debt. Take advantage of that with Miller Lending. Take advantage of the no closing costs associated with refinancing with Miller Lending. Stay flexible. Don't try to pay down that rate because that rate fluctuates and you might be able to take advantage of a lower rate in 6 months. So why would you pay for it? So check them out online at millerlending.com or call them directly at 919-447-3377. Tell them we sent you. Say, hey, OG was talking about you guys. Throwback hoodie, a Butcher's Market gift basket, along with the no closing cost mortgage, which is very, very important. So again, check them out online at millerlending.com. And of course, our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. It was good to catch up with Hayes, an OG this past Saturday.
Oh, the OG.
We appreciate that. So check him out online at bugsbite.com. We need to get him to let us know the next time he's got a big catering spread by our guy, Matt. So I can just kind of see. I know you took advantage of some of it.
He texted me. I was there.
Didn't text me. Matt needs to text me.
There you go. We gotta go see. We gotta do the show from Matt's spot.
Yeah, we'll do it. We could absolutely do that.
Parking lot, just chilling.
I mean, it's the perfect weather to do it, honestly. It's not hot. It's not
chill
sweaty.
out.
Just chill out there and enjoy some food. So anyway, in the meantime, check out bugsbite.com, Mosquito Authority, and Pest Authority. All right, let's get out of here with Hey Joe and a little bit of promotion for the YouTube membership channel, OG Business. I think the two are tied together. But Joe, you had a very specific call to the OG Sports phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
This is from a 919.
Hey guys, Matt and Cheekway. Calling says this call is intended to be for the OG Sports phone for Friday. It's a question mostly directed towards Giglio because of his past, I guess, true journalism. No offense, Ovies. True.
I'm not offended. I've never pretended to be a journalist. It's okay.
Journalism background, and the question is related to. Well, I guess it's in a variety of ways, but mostly related to Lane Kiffin. And in addition to that, you were talking about the fluff pieces in the Marty Smiths, the Ryan McGee's of the world, various other game day personalities, some of which are represented by the same agent as Lane Kiffin. And my question is I don't know anything about the ethics of the journalism profession. Maybe the answer to the question is that some of these people are just simply not journalists, and so the ethics of it doesn't matter. But my question is related to maybe it's more related to objectivity, and just kind of address the nuances, or maybe the things that us fans don't appreciate about, the double-edged sword of covering people, and at the same time maintaining, future relationships. What I'm getting at is I think that their current coverage is partially impacted by the fact that you want to still have that relationship for the future. Similarly, the ethics of the huge brand that a person is leaving for, and it being a huge brand for purposes of the same 4-letter network for where these people work for. And so what I'm getting at is I'm just more or less interested in your thoughts of the ethics of how all that is supposed to work, how you are supposed to be a good journalist in those scenarios, and what types of, what should be happening. Like, what I'm getting at is we're not seeing really, good, direct questions that a true journalist would be asking. So I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are. It's all very interesting to me because everybody seems very unethical based on other types of professions. Love you guys. Stay gorgeous, stay handsome, peace. And Tar Heels, belt to ass, baby. Peace.
I think there's a larger umbrella of what journalism is or objectivity is, right? Like I never thought of, even when I worked at the newspaper, as when you're covering sports as journalism. Mm-hmm. Unless you're getting into crime stuff, illegal stuff, some other stuff like that. Sports is kind of its own category. But so I'll put it this way. You should never write anything that you couldn't say to somebody's face. Just as you shouldn't say anything on a podcast or a show that you couldn't say to somebody's face. So this guy who quoted the song down in Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's rule number one.
Ben Garrett or whatever.
That's rule number one.
Which, by the way, Lane Kiffin did text that guy with an AI image of him at a like a recruitment setup with the hats. And Lane was putting on a hat that said "ho" on it.
Sure.
So,
but as a general rule of thumb, that's number one. Don't write something or say something that you couldn't say to somebody's face. It's a good guide because it helps you keep yourself out of some of these situations, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, number two, what I would say though about journalism and objectivity that you can apply in the sports world or everything else that you do. Part of objectivity in reporting is allowing the other side to have their say.
Yeah.
And this is something I dealt with a lot when I covered Carolina, in that a lot of times you can get information and then people will say, I got this information from a police report or a FOIA request or whatever else. And you can just write a story based on the information without getting any context or response. Mm-hmm. And we are squarely in that world now, particularly in college sports, because people don't feel like they have any accountability. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to talk to you. But it's always fair to give people the chance to have their say. Hey, here's what the police report says. Hey, here's what the FOIA request says. Here's what the email says. What do you have to say? I think that is an important part. Now, you might think that's not really journalism. It's kind of common sense, but it is. It's a big part of how I always tried to guide what I did, not only at the newspaper, but here when we're doing this information here. I think you gain a lot of respect from people, and this is the reason I have the relationship with the people that I do at North Carolina, by just calling them and saying, this is what I have. What is your response? And there are times where they will say, Joe, I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not. It's no, here's the statement. Yeah. This is what I have. This is what the schools, a lot of times I remember the initial notice of allegations came out against Carolina back in the day. And I'm sitting there. It was a lot of pages. I'm sitting there trying to read it and all this other stuff. And after an hour, Dick Bedore at the time is the AD. He calls me. He called me.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, are we going to talk? And I said, Dick, I'm still trying to figure out what this says. And he goes, well, I know that. He goes, but I know you're also going to call me and try to figure out. So let's talk now.
Let's just have the conversation.
And I said, and I always appreciate that. I think you can go a long way. Now, to this situation with ESPN and their interests, none of this is quote unquote journalism. None of it.
No,
none of it.
It's not.
There is some common sense that you would like to see applied to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, those two pillars right there. But obviously that's not the case. We've never got to a point where we had an agent. So I never had to share an agent. I never had any of that kind of information. Like, obviously, you're talking about Kirk Herbstreit and some of these other guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nick Saban has the same agent as Lane Kiffin. And
yeah.
I think Nick Saban did probably tell Lane Kiffin to go take the LSU job. I mean, that's fairly obvious.
Well,
here's the only thing about the whole thing about Kiffin that I would say that I think he was more available during all of this than anyone in his situation than I can recall. But here's where getting to the point about answering questions, the question that needed to be asked and wasn't, and the way that it specifically needed to be framed was, if you were staying at Ole Miss, why haven't you come out and said you're staying at Ole Miss?
Well, we know why.
Because you're not staying at Ole Miss.
It goes beyond that. It's about Lane doing Lane things. This is why, getting back to the whole commitment, you can't make a housewife, blah, 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 blah. He exhibited behaviors that brought that out. Simple as that. That's why I didn't get too mad at what the On3 guy said, because Lane's whole MO is to demand attention. And I figured this is a good transition point to close things out. Try something a little bit different here with OG Business. Something that Dimitri and I talked about for OG Business related to Lane Kiffin and the On3 situation, and more specifically, the conflict of interest that is presented by Nick Saban, of all things. So I presented...
But that's not journalism. It's a promotion. The ESPN is in the TV business. That's what they're in.
College Game Day sets the tone for how we talk about things. There's an element of trust that has to go into that. What I'm watching is coming from a place that is honest and true, not coming from behind the scenes, deal making, things like that. I know you're making a face, but I'm telling you right now, the big thing that's going to happen in 2026 in terms of trends is, where can I go where I trust what I'm hearing is honest? This is why I asked Dimitri, who is Mr. SEC, Mr. Alabama. I presented him some options. Who comes out of this Lane Kiffin thing as the biggest fraud? Taking Lane Kiffin out of it because, as Dimitri would joke, you have to have some integrity to be considered a fraud. He has no integrity, so therefore we know what his deal is. Does the governor of Louisiana come off as the biggest fraud? Who ended up...
I thought you meant winner.
Yeah. No, he actually comes off as the biggest fraud.
Right.
Because he had an entire press conference motherfucking the previous AD, guaranteed contracts, and now he's paying double. He's paying a guaranteed contract to Lane Kiffin, and Brian Kelly's getting his money. So he's coming off as a big fraud. But as the reporting has come out, more and more so, Nick Saban might be coming off as the biggest fraud in the situation. And that's where I just kind of got the conversation going.
Okay, first of all, Saban's not alone in the messaging he was putting out there.
But Saban has, as we've come to find out, a very crucial role in this coaching search.
Right. So from a media standpoint, I would not necessarily say Saban is the biggest fraud. When you find out that Nick Saban was the first offer LSU made
for a crazy amount of money.
I've been told $15 million. He said no, so they came back with $20 million.
$20 million.
Yeah, and his his point was like, it's not about the money. It's that what I do does not work in the NIL era.
Good for him for understanding.
For
that.
sure.
Good for him for understanding that.
So then, the report that I have heard is that he told LSU you should hire Lane, and then he told Lane, don't take anything until you talk to LSU. Because by this point, Florida was already in motion with Lane. Not going there, but talking to Florida was already in motion for Lane. With that being said, And look, I don't even think you really needed that information to say the whole Saban's thing about, oh, this is a calendar problem, not a Lane Kiffin. Like that was already absurd.
Yes,
right?
It was.
But yeah, it's kind of hard not to put him at the top of the pyramid of eye rolls in the way various ESPN personalities reacted to what we saw, I guess maybe what we didn't see on Saturday.
You're being kind to Nick Saban.
Okay.
I understand why.
Yeah.
Alabama boy.
I mean, I have a tattoo inspired by Nick Saban.
I understand this. This is why I think Nick Saban comes off as the biggest fraud in all of this. And I do hope that viewers of college sport, viewers of sports in general, should, from here on out, if you haven't already, look at the people on the desk and look at them skeptically about what exactly their messaging is. There's been this huge conspiracy about the CAA, which is the Collective Artists Agency. It's this huge company that represents a lot of talent that you see on television. And there's been this conspiracy that CAA is putting out the talking points for College Game Day and elsewhere, like Dave Pasch spending time during the Egg Bowl saying, hey, Ole Miss, just deal with it, okay? Like, just let him go if he wants to go. Or why are you putting pressure on him? Like, Dave, just call the game, bro.
Right.
Like, I don't need this, right? Regardless. So there's been this conspiracy that CAA is putting out the talking points to help their clients, and all their boys are coming together. I think that's silly.
Also, it should be pointed out, CAA is where Jimmy Sexton works. Yes. And Jimmy Sexton is one of the two most powerful agents of college football coaches.
I don't buy the conspiracy theory. However, one thing that everybody should understand is that once you get to certain tiers of your profession, you start to enter into tighter and tighter text chains, tighter and tighter group messages. Not to get too deep into the weeds on the Silicon Valley side, but there's been a lot of reporting of all these names you kind of know that behind the scenes have a lot of money and are having a lot of influence on a lot of the things that you're seeing going on in the real world, not the sports world. Well, I think the same thing's going on here in the world of sports, where there's these tight circles. They don't work. All they do is text each other all day.
Yeah.
And they start to believe their own thing that, oh, well, here's how we're going to fix this. And here's what we're going to do that. You should do this. Well, I think we should do this. And then that sometimes bleeds over into what you see on College Game Day. So it's not a conspiracy. It's more so these guys have their own brain rot, that they believe their own stuff, and then they present it on television. And they're so detached from reality that you almost are like, you almost don't know what to do with how they're presenting it. If anything, I think it's pushing more and more people away from those desk shows and more towards, ESPN wonders why they're eroding audience and things like that. Well, because it becomes trust.
Yeah.
Do you trust what you're watching on television?
So
I don't trust what Nick Saban is saying on television anymore.
So I'm going to disagree. Disagree is the wrong word, because I hear what you're saying. And if you look at who was the loudest on Saturday about, Lane, no matter what happens, Lane should be the coach of Ole Miss for the playoff.
Never mind, he's going to deplete your coaching staff. He's going to rip your players out of there. It's going to be a complete distraction from what you're trying to do.
To the school that Ole Miss fans would tell you after Mississippi State is their biggest rival, right? It would be like, it would be like Belichick bolting for UVA.
Sure. I think that's a bad analogy, because Carolina fans will go, thank you, UVA.
Right. So I'm going to push back a little bit, because if you look at who was really leading this charge, you could say Game Day. Okay, Saban's on the desk. Anthony McFarland at halftime of all the games on ABC, he played for Nick Saban at LSU. Like you could definitely connect those dots, right? And our buddy Bomani Jones pointed out on his podcast yesterday that he's represented by CAA.
Yeah.
He is in the sports world. He never got any sort of talking points from CAA about Lane Kiffin.
No offense to Bomani, but he's not the one moving the needle on this topic.
I told Bomani this.
Love Bomani, but that's not who you're talking to.
Well, and this is not even about.
This is why I don't buy the CAA conspiracy.
This is not about Bomani's influence. This is very simple. They don't need CAA Jimmy Sexton, who represents, I think, everybody on the game day desk. I could be wrong, but I think
you're right. Well, there's a separate conversation about the stranglehold the CAA has on ESPN.
Yeah.
I remember talking to one ESPN higher up years ago.
Yeah.
Because I had asked the question, I'm like, why does it just like the shuffling of these deck? Why are these people getting these contracts? He's like, CAA.
Yeah.
Because if you want this person, well, you're going to have to take care of this person. Then they all, and they know it.
Right.
And they've gotten, I think the quote was, CAA has ESPN by the balls.
Well, okay. So if I am Jimmy Sexton,
Mm-hmm.
or if I'm CAA, I don't have to do anything. If I'm Jimmy, all I've got to do is get Game Day talking about this.
Okay.
Game Day controls the narrative of this sport.
Agree.
Right? So do I believe there was a company-wide memo? No. Do I believe Jimmy told Nick and Herb Street what would be helpful? 1,000%. 1,000%.
See, I don't think CAA or Jimmy Sexton has anything to do with this. And I go back to Nick Saban specifically. And the reason why I think he's a fraud in the same way that Mike Krzyzewski talks about leadership with the NCAA and college basketball and a business and everything else. And then he gives his opinions and you are like, well, why don't you step up more? And Mike Krzyzewski has straight up said, why are they going to listen to me?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, why are they going to listen to you? What are you talking about? You're Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
They're going to listen to you. Well, in the same case with Nick Saban, he keeps going up on that desk and talking about, we need real leadership. We need this. And then all of a sudden, he then backs away from it. Hey, man, if you want leadership, be the light in the world you want to see, Nick.
Yeah.
Instead, what Nick is doing behind the scenes is orchestrating, as we've come to find out, this huge move for Lane Kiffin to go from Ole Miss to LSU after he was offered the job. And if I'm Alabama, doesn't he have a freaking office at Alabama?
Yeah.
If I'm like a big higher up at Alabama saying, well, wait a minute here, man.
Okay, hang on. This is where I've got to give you some Alabama intel.
Okay, see, this is why, I'm asking you, because like to me, this looks strange.
Okay, so
this is like Roy Williams in his office at the Smith Center orchestrating the help for Bill Self's replacement at Kansas.
Okay.
How do you think Carolina fans would react to, they already reacted like that to a sticker in 2008. How do you think they'd react if Roy was instrumental in Bill Self's replacement at Kansas?
Totally hear you.
Okay.
Here's what you need to know behind the scenes in the Alabama athletic department.
Please enlighten me.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this without betraying anybody. Did you see the report? And it wasn't a report. I think it was just speculation from Todd McShay that the reason this drug out so long was because Lane Kiffin was convinced if Alabama lost the Iron Bowl, Kalen DeBoer was going to take the Penn State job and Alabama would be open.
I did see that Galaxy Brain take. Yes.
Okay.
And given Lane, I don't dismiss it.
I would remind you 2 years ago, Alabama had an opening and did not even call Lane Kiffin to see if he was interested.
Sure.
That interest, Lane Kiffin becoming Alabama's head coach, goes one way.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, or at least the athletic director, is not scared of Lane Kiffin going to LSU.
Okay.
That's why I don't think you saw Alabama pushing back. I think even I would argue, this is just a guess, I would think Greg Bird is probably shaking Nick Saban's hand and saying, thank you for taking care of that problem for me.
All right. I see where you're going with this. This is the dagger on Nick Saban and why he's a fraud. You're on the game day set saying that Lane Kiffin needs to be able to coach both.
Yeah.
You should be able to coach the playoff, coach through the playoff with Ole Miss while at the same time,
which we could all agree is absurd,
setting things up for LSU. Yes, logically, professionally, that is the most absurd statement you can make. But Nick's on that desk saying these things. And all the while I'm thinking to myself, aren't you the same dude who fired Lane Kiffin's ass before a championship game because he was too distracted by what, Dimitri?
Yeah, his next job.
Right. So how can I can see where it's a distraction, and I fired him before a championship game. But hey, Ole Miss guys, just deal with it. Like, you see where he's a fraud?
You call him fraud. Let me put on my MAGA hat for a second.
You see where he's a fraud?
You call him a fraud. I see 4D chess.
So that's just a snippet from OG Business, which you can get on the YouTube membership channel. You want the entire conversation. We get into all sorts of dynamics about the business of all this kind of stuff. It's on our YouTube membership channel. Just go to our YouTube website, our YouTube page, youtube.com/@OG Triangle Media. You got the subscribe button. You got the join button. Hit the join button. $5 whole American dollars plus tax gets you access to the entirety of the OG on Business. And of course, our OG mailbag, which comes to you every Friday. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Another long one. Y'all told me that's no big deal. All right. Following through on that. Better get 5 stars for these long shows. We'll see y'all tomorrow.